I really love podcasting. I really love writing. I've got a lot of writing projects lined up. Oh man, let's talk about this on today's Project Shadow.
Can you hear me? I have something to say.
Hello everyone, how are you doing today? My name's Charlie. You might know me better as sci-fi fantasy writer C.E. Dorset. Don't know why my accent shifted right there in the middle of that, but apparently it did. Hi, I'm the writer of such books as Crucify My Love and my sort of new book, The Chain, both of which are available over at projectshadow.com. At least in part, they're slowly coming out over there. And that's kind of what I want to talk about on today's podcast. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, please take the moment to rate this podcast in whatever app you're listening to me on. It really does help out a lot. It tells the algorithm to share the podcast with more people. The more people that listen, the bigger the community. The bigger the community, the better the chance we get to meet each other. And that community is, after all, what I do this for. It really is. Thank you to everybody who's already done that. Okay, so hi. Don't worry, I'm not quitting podcasting. I kind of feel like that's what it sounds like from the way I introed this, but no, that's not what's going on. I have a crazy amount of writing projects lined up right now, and I kind of want to focus on that. So what I'm going to be doing today is explaining kind of the future of the podcast and what's going to be happening going forward with everything that I'm doing. I don't like taking personal podcast time, but I feel like I need to do that today. All right, so what's going on? I'm currently in the middle of I'm technically at the beginning of a massive rewrite for The Chain. And when I say rewrite, of the 3 chapters that are currently out, 2 of them are completely original and not in the original book. See, there was the way that series was supposed to... Actually, I'll get into that in a minute. So I have that going on. I have the manuscript for Sanctify My Sins, which is the follow-up, the second book in Mask of the Gods, the follow-up to Crucify My Love, finished and just sitting there. I have started work on Glorify My Name, which is book 3 in the Mask of the Gods series. I'm still working on that space opera thing that we talked about. I've been really obsessing about writing The Pearl, which is book 2 in Wand and Weaver, the follow-up to The Chain. And there's kind of this weird vampire thing that's been in the back of my head for a while, and I don't know if I'm going to do it. Plus, there's kind of a YA story I've been writing chapters in for a while now that I don't know if it's going to become a thing or not. Long story short, I have a lot of writing projects that I want to be working on, and I actually have a lot of energy lately. I've been feeling really good, and I want to be able to do those. So my concern is that I will not have the time that I want to dedicate to the podcast. So as of today, I am officially saying that Project Shadow is going weekly, in that I can guarantee that at least once a week, I will put a podcast out on this channel. And actually, I'm kind of excited about that, because then I can kind of focus all of my ideas into something special for you all. Now, I'm not saying that you will only be getting one episode. If something happens either in the news or we go and watch something that we want to do a review of, more episodes may come out. Who knows, I may get my schedule completely worked out and have time to be doing daily podcasts again. But as for right now, with everything that I'm wanting to get done and everything that I really, really desire to do, I don't like being a liar. So I am only going to guarantee one podcast on this, for this show. If there are more, there are more. And it's possible nothing will change. But as you've noticed, it's been harder and harder and harder for me to get the episodes pre-recorded so that they are, coming out in the morning like I like. And like a lot of you like, so you have them for your morning commutes. It's been a bit tricksy. So, yeah. And I'm sorry. I feel like I'm letting some people down, especially those people who only listen to the podcast. But, writing is my first love. Writing is what I really want to be doing. And especially with the switch right now, with taking the books wide, and once they were taken out of Kindle Unlimited, I now have to go through and put them up for Kobo and Barnes & Noble and iBooks and everywhere else. And while I thought I knew exactly how I wanted to do that, I've been reading through a lot and learning a lot about how I want to do that. And that's become a much bigger project than I initially thought it was going to be. Because initially I was thinking of just going to Ingram and putting them up over there and letting Ingram sort it all out. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case now. Let's just say there's a lot going on with me at the moment. And yeah. So I don't want to be misleading. I don't want to, promise more than I can deliver. But on that note, I think, a lot of people that listen to the show are listening because of the books. And I thank you for that. And I want to be able to devote all the time I can into getting as many books done as I can, especially while I'm feeling good, while I'm in a good place. Hopefully, this will be something that lasts. Hopefully I've actually finally found a routine to get into that will keep the depression, anxiety, and joint pain at bay. Hopefully. We'll see. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing. But don't worry, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. This is one of the reasons why I've really been pushing you all to go check out projectshadow.com. As you can see over there, I've got chapters of Labyrinth of Souls coming out for those who haven't bought the book yet. You can just read it over there. Same with Crucify My Love. I'm also putting up the chapters for The Chain over there. I'm planning on doing a similar rewrite to Shine Like Thunder, because I feel like it belongs better in the fantasy setting that in the Ash Dancer setting. So I've actually been playing around with that. And for those of you who read my work on Wattpad, they're still going to be going up over there. It's just, I'm kind of in a place where I feel like it's not a good thing for me to put all of my eggs in one basket. And that's what I was doing with Amazon. Everything was over there. And so I was spending almost all of my time trying to do what Amazon wanted to get those books, to sell. And yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more now that I have it out on, now that it's going wide. But I also have the freedom to do whatever I want to do, like put the books out for free on the website so anybody can read them. And if you are so kind, you can sign up for my Patreon and help me continue that process. Because, oh man, there are so many stories that I want to tell right now. And I'm very excited about that. Especially with the fact that I'm already like a book ahead. And a little bit more because, okay. Oh, where to start with this? Well, I'm going to start with The Chain. The rewrites that I'm doing to The Chain are twofold. One, I've been thinking about writing The Pearl for a while. And the way that book was originally structured, Nathan is the main character of the book. And it was always in the back of my mind that the main character was going to shift from Nathan to Daniel in the second book. And I had written part of a novella called A Study in Shadows that retold parts of the chain, but from Daniel's point of view. And I was going to include that as a free gift to anybody who wanted it, as kind of part of the transition from one, main character to another. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, that should just be incorporated. That should be part of the book. That should just be in there and done with. So that's a big part of what this is about. There were also characters that were cut for time that I really feel should be in the book. So that's what the rewrites are for that. The main plot isn't changing. It hopefully is going to be a bit deeper. I'm taking in a lot of the comments that I've gotten over the years on that book, and hopefully it's improving. The Mask of the Gods books and the House of Blood and Fire books are very near and dear to my heart, man. The World of the Ash Dancer has a lot of fiction that I want to get written in it, and I want to take the time to do that well. The first book in the House of Blood and Fire is out. That's Labyrinth of Souls. I've already started working on Stone of Heaven, which is the second book in that series. And that's a big part of why I'm stepping back from the podcast a little bit, so that I can take time to do this. The other part is, especially with the World of the Ash Dancer, there's so much world building that I have done and that I'm continuing to do for that. And I have set up a World Anvil account. I haven't really talked about it that much on the show or really done much to let people know that it's there, because there's not that much up there yet. But I really want to be putting up those articles and really spending time immersing myself in these worlds and in these settings, so that you all can immerse yourself in these worlds and in these settings. Because I think there's a lot of interesting side stories and information that I have in my notes and in my head that probably will never find their way into a full-fledged story. And that's always my favorite part of a fiction process. So if you're not familiar with World Anvil, they are basically a place where if you are a writer or a game master, you can build worlds. And they have a lot of really good tools for that, and it makes it really, really, really easy to do that. I have started a World Anvil world, say that 10 times fast, for the Dragons of Night setting, for the World of the Ash Dancer, and for the new space opera setting that I'm working on, and I've already got some articles up in that. Links to all of that will start appearing on Project Shadow as soon as possible, because while there's not that much there now, there will be more coming in future, and a lot more. World building is something I really truly enjoy, and it's one of the elements that to me makes a story worthwhile. I like being able to dig in. I am not, how can I say this without offending anyone? I am not one of those readers who reads a book and goes, that was good, next. Though I know a lot of people are, and that's awesome. More power to you. Yo. I like worlds. I like reading books that have worlds that I can get into. That's one of the reasons why Dune and the Dune series has been one of my favorites, even though honestly I haven't read any of the Brian Herbert books yet, just because I'm still concerned, because the Frank Herbert books I love so much, and I had mixed feelings when Christopher Tolkien started finishing his father's work, and of course the horrible job that August Derleth did with Lovecraft's unfinished stories. So I am really nervous about that. So if you're a fan of Brian Herbert's books, please let me know. And assuage some of my fears, because I would love to have a lot more Dune in my life. But I really like worlds that you can dig into, and that there's a lot of lore and other things around the fringes. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do with all of the settings that I write. And I do it for me because it's what I really enjoy. And I felt really greedy over the years because it's not something that I've really shared with you all. And I want to be able to do that. And so I've been taking time to post stuff over on World Anvil. And hopefully most of it will be out of draft soon. And I'll be sharing that through Twitter and through the Facebook pages. Because that was the great shock that I had today when I was looking at the analytics and found that most of the visits to the website are coming from the Facebook links. So, hey, that's awesome. But as you can tell from the long list of things that I'm doing and that I'm working on, I'm really concerned about taking the time to honestly do a good podcast for you all, especially like I was doing daily, because while it may have sounded like the shows were extemporaneous and just kind of bouncing off the top of my head, even though these are 22-minute episodes, it would still take me 3 hours to do an episode of the podcast. And yeah, that includes the recording time and the post-processing time at the end, which actually isn't that much more. But it would take me a couple hours to kind of hammer out the topic and what I wanted to talk about that day, and make sure that I had it set up in a way that I felt like, one, would make an episode, it would make an episode that I would want to hear and that I thought that you all would want to hear. And sometimes I would spend more because I'd be working on an idea and kind of realize that it wasn't working and then do a different one. And I really love doing the podcast, but taking 3 or more hours out of every day to do a podcast, that does eat into the writing time that I have. But more than that, I am concerned that if I don't kind of set myself up so that I only have to do 1 episode a week, what will happen is I will just turn on the mic and start talking. And that would probably be marginally entertaining, but it wouldn't have some of the detail that I like to try to bring to these shows. And by giving myself a week to craft an episode, maybe I can do some deeper dives into certain topics along the way. This is really hard for me, if you can't tell. I'm almost trying to assuage my own conscience and concerns about doing this as I am trying to explain it to you all. Because, I've done episodes on why this podcast is daily and why I really love that whole thing. So, yeah. But I think at least for now, it's the right thing to do because, I'm also getting ready to start doing nano prep because I do want to do that this year, and I haven't decided which of the projects I'm going to put aside for nano this year. It's probably going to be Sanctify My Sins. Not Sanctify My Sins. I already wrote that one. Glorify My Name, which is book 3 in that series, just because I wrote the first 2 in nano, and the first drafts of both of the first 2 books in nano, and it'd be, fitting to write the 3rd one there, but I guess I should say then. But yeah, there's a lot going on, and I wouldn't be able to do any of it without your support and without your help. And so to everybody who has listened through this very self-indulgent episode of Project Shadow, thank you so much. You all mean the world to me. You really do. You've helped me through some very dark times in my life. You've helped me through just everything. And it means the world to me, and I want to do right by you. And at least as everything stands right now, I feel like this is the best way I can do that. and, make better shows for you all, and at the same time get much more fiction done, which I think will also make everyone a lot happier. I don't know. I would love to know what you think. So now more than ever, if you have any questions, comments, or topics you'd like to hear discussed on the show, in the show notes you'll find a link to the voice message system. You will have to sign up for an account. You need to keep it brief. I think they're still limiting voice messages to 1 minute. But keep it clean so I can use it on the show. I would love to do a lot more of, especially since I'm going to be doing less episodes. I'd love to be focusing more specifically on ideas and topics that you all would like to hear about. And yeah, definitely follow me on Twitter. I'm CE Dorset on Twitter. Since I'm not going to be doing a daily podcast, at least for a little bit, I will be posting a lot more thoughts over there. I'm CE Dorset on both Twitter and Instagram. And that's also a good place to give me topics and ideas that you would like to hear me talk about on the show. If you've got a buck that you can throw my way, that would be greatly appreciated. In the show notes, you'll find a link to both my Patreon account and the community support tab. The difference between the two is the people on Patreon occasionally get stuff. So if you'd like to occasionally get stuff, then yeah, do that. Thank you so much to everybody who already does give. If you don't have the money right now or you don't feel like it, that's all right. I completely understand that. I live in the place of not having enough money to do everything I'd like to do. But if you know somebody that you think would like the show or like any of my books, do share them with them. That helps out a bunch too. Yeah. Thank you all so much. I hope you understand. I hope you're all right with this. Let me know. And until next time, don't forget, have the fun.